Morning and to everyone. Thanks for attending our Attitude is Everything class today. It's kind of an interesting class that we put on for the automatic transmission rebuilders in San Antonio. And I tell you, when they first approached me about this class, I was a little taken back that we actually even have to have a class on attitude. But after talking with Roger and Dennis, it kind of came to light that not everybody has a great attitude or knows how to develop a great attitude. So we put this together. It was actually one of the hardest seminars I have ever had to put together because it's kind of hard to put into words something that you believe or feel. So it actually turned out very well. I got a lot of rave reviews. A lot of people told us, boy, I really needed that. So we're going to give you the 1-hour version of the Attitude is Everything class. And remember that as a registered attendee, you do get this on a CD that will be going out next week. So you can share it with everybody else in your shop, review it, and look at it over and over again. So let's go ahead and get started. What is an attitude? Well, first of all of us have attitudes. Not all of the attitudes are good, but we all have an attitude. But an attitude is a hypothetical construct that represents an individual's degree of like or dislike for an item. And really what it means is an attitude means that you either like or dislike this person, place, thing, job you have, and it comes across. An attitude is projected. It's not something you keep inside of yourself, even though you may think you are. An attitude is projected. People know what your attitude is about something by your body language, the tone you use, the words you use, the way you act around it. So when we're at work or we're dealing with other people, this attitude is very evident. And in some cases, it's evident to everybody but you. So we want to talk about how this attitude affects you and how to get a good attitude. Attitudes are generally positive or negative views of a person, place, or thing, or an event. This is often referred to as the attitude object. Well, I certainly have a lot of things in my life that I consider to have an attitude with. Of course, most of us have this. Attitudes change day to day, and attitudes are influenced by a lot of things. In fact, attitude is one of those things that can be swayed, moved, pushed, given to you, taken from you, and you might even not notice it's happening. So we don't pay enough attention to our attitude. We get up in the morning, and whatever we get up with, we seem to stick with. And that's not always the best way to work your day. An attitude is going to either make you money or lose you money. It's going to make you relationships or it's going to lose you relationships. So we really need to pay attention to our attitude. And one of the things that I have found is most people don't. They just let the attitude be what it is. People can also be conflicted or ambivalent toward an object, meaning that they are simultaneously possess both positive and negative attitudes towards the item in question. I kind of refer to this as the love-hate relationship. For example, if you have children, that is definitely a positive and negative attitude sometimes at the same time. The problem that we really run into is a lot of us don't even pay attention to that attitude. So we are creating a problem for ourselves, not even realizing that we've created it. The way we deal with certain people, the way we deal with certain problems, the way we deal with the weather, the way we deal with traffic, all of these things are generated by an attitude, and it affects everything from that point on. For example, if you get up in the morning and you start your day off in a very positive mood, a good positive attitude, you get to work, the first customer you run into at work, the first person through the door, it's a warranty, a comeback issue. They yell and scream, they hoot and holler. That changes your attitude for the whole day. And every customer after that first customer is affected by that attitude. It's also like this. I used to love making a big sale first thing in the morning. If I made a big sale first thing in the morning, I was pumped up and my attitude was good. And the rest of the day, I couldn't do any wrong. I sold everything. By the same token, first sale of the day, they don't buy anything. They accuse you of ripping them off. It affects every sale after that. So we want to continually look at this attitude. We can be positive and negative at the same time, but we need to always turn it around and make it a positive thing. We need to find the best things in every day and dwell on those, not the negative things. Attitudes are contagious. A negative attitude can bring down a company in mere minutes. And this is, for you owners here, this is something that your employees are keyed in on. When you walk through the door or they walk through the door, how you respond to them determines the attitude of the day. So if they walk through the door and you don't say good morning to them, or you're grumpy at them, or you growl at them, that's the tone for the whole day. If they walk through the door and you say, hey, good morning, good to see you, we got a great day planned, it's going to set the tone for the whole day. I used to work for a gentleman, nice guy, great boss, but he'd come in the door and he'd be dragging his coffee cup behind him, and you'd ask him, hey, how's your day, or good morning, and he'd just grumble and throw out a couple of F words, and he was just not a happy person. He just did not like the mornings. And that would be okay if he would have turned right and went into his office. But the one thing he did every single day was he turned left and went into the shop. He went and talked to every employee and told them the same things. Today stinks, it's not going to be a good day, I'm just not happy to be here. So pretty soon the entire shop was down. So I got tired of this because it affected how we produced that day. And I went to him and I told him that he couldn't come to work till noon. Because after lunchtime he was okay, he just wasn't a morning person. Well, when that didn't work and he came in early, I told him he couldn't go in the shop and talk to the guys until he had a good positive attitude. And he abided by that, and he'd go in his office for a couple hours and have his coffee, and then he'd go out in the shop. And his attitude was positive. So a negative attitude is never, ever a good thing to share. It's very much kind of like a cold. You're going to share it, it's going to affect everybody in the place. And we don't want that negative attitude. You have to remember that negative attitude is always going to cost you money. It is always going to cost you money, either through productivity or actual dollars and cents. A positive attitude spreads in seconds. What does it cost you to smile at somebody and just say, hey, good morning? It costs you nothing, but it sets the tone for the whole relationship of the day. A simple fact is that most people do not need you to tell them they screwed up, or it's raining, or there's a problem. They know that. What they're looking for is a positive influence. And I need you owners and managers, service advisors, to be positive and be in a good mood. Same thing goes with you service advisors when you work with the customers at the front desk. Remember, most of your customers come to you because they have a problem. Something has happened. Their car is broken, or even if they're bringing it in for scheduled maintenance, we're not fun. We're going to go buy a big screen TV. They're happy to do that. They're going to go spend the same amount of money on their car. They're not happy to do that. So we want to make sure that when they call us and they're having a bad day, that we do not give them more reasons to have a bad day. See, I have a problem. I call you. I want you to be able to solve my problem, not give me more issues. They don't care what's happened in your store. They don't care what employee didn't come in. They don't care anything. They're only concerned with their car. So have a good positive attitude. It will help you sell them when you figure out what's wrong with the car. If you don't have a positive attitude, they're going to be harder to sell to. And in reality, you're going to set the tone for the relationship. And I got to ask you, what do you want for your company? Do you want it to be a negative, grumbly, nobody's happy, everybody's out there kicking cans and the dogs and the cats? Or do you want it to be a positive place where people get excited about going to work, where they actually look forward to what they do? You know, people think I'm pretty sick and twisted because I really love what I do. And I travel a lot, and with the travel goes a lot of not so pleasant things. The airport is just not a fun place anymore. Being stuck in the airplane because of snow and sleet, not a good thing. But putting up with that gives me a chance to do what I really love to do, which is talk to a group of people. So that's why I want you guys to always have that positive attitude. There's negative things in our lives. There's things that aren't going to be good. But if you have the right outlook, they become very small and very minor in the grand scheme of things. So we want to keep that positive attitude. And here's the other thing about a positive attitude. When you have a positive attitude and you're smiling and you're being excited about what you do, it's very hard for the people around you not to get excited also. So when the employees walk through the door and you say, hey, good morning, glad to see you. Let's get ready to rock and roll. We're going to have a great day. No matter what mood they were in, it will lift. And in a little bit of time, they're going to be in a good mood too. And let me tell you, it's amazing how much work you can get done when everybody's in a good mood and everybody's working towards the common cause. That's what we want to do, is make sure that we're working towards the common cause. Attitude affects all parts of our lives. It affects us personally. our relationships with our spouse, children, and other family members. Here's one of the things that I always find pretty amazing, is that my wife can give me a look from about 30, 35 yards away, and I know what she's thinking. I can tell when she's irritated at me just from that look. I also know that if I smile at her, it'll lighten up that look. And those of you who know me know I have a tendency to be a smart aleck, so it certainly affects her. Our attitude with our children. Quite a while ago, when my daughter was probably 6 or 7 years old, she's 24 now, so we go back quite a ways. It was a Sunday afternoon. I'd been on the road the week before, and I just wanted to kind of sit down and read the newspaper and kind of crash. And she was into everything. And I realized very quickly that everything I told her was negative. Sonny, don't do this, stop that, put that down, don't do that, get off the couch, do this. Everything was negative. So I put down the newspaper, I put my shoes on, and I asked her, what do you want to do today? Let's go do whatever you want to do. And as soon as my attitude changed, where it stopped being negative and became positive, she stopped doing the things that were irritating me. She was looking for attention. So as soon as I got a good attitude about it, I could deal with it easier. Now, when I got the good attitude and she got the good attitude, we had a great day. We went out and did some things. Didn't do a whole lot, but did some things that made her happy. Attitude was better. The whole household attitude picked up. So it certainly affects us personally. It affects us professionally. Employees, family, clients, and vendors. Again, when you go to work in a bad mood, it doesn't matter whether you're the owner or the manager or the service advisor, you affect everybody else, customers and employees. But you also affect the clients and the vendors. You're having a bad day, everybody seems to have a bad day. If you have a poor attitude, everybody's going to have a poor attitude. And we're going to get to this a little bit later. There's certain things you can't control. So your attitude is bad because of something you can't control. You're just wasting your energy. You're just spinning your wheels. Monetarily, the pricing structure that discounts the wages and your personal income. Isn't it kind of funny when we're in a bad mood or we let somebody put us in a bad mood, it affects us dollars. Sometimes we don't charge the right amount of money. Sometimes we give discounts we shouldn't. Sometimes we don't get paid what we're worth because we have a bad attitude. I've interviewed people and then called their old boss and say, well, he's a very good technician or he's a great service provider, but he's never in a good mood. That's not a person I want to hire. I don't want that person in my business. There's already too much negativity in the world. I don't need to bring somebody in who can't buck up and have a good attitude. Now, how do I create a positive attitude? First thing is, I want you to expect success. In most cases, people seem to anticipate or accept or actually want failure. And I know that sounds pretty silly, but it's true. You hear it in the way they talk. Well, if this doesn't work, I can always go do this. I want you to expect success. It's just like playing a game in sports. If you played baseball or basketball, let's say we're playing basketball, and you're going to shoot a free throw. You got to expect it to go in the hoop. You can't think, well, I'm going to miss, because you will miss. You have to see the success. You have to visualize the success. Same thing with my son in baseball. I've talked to him many times that when he goes up to bat, what is he thinking? Is he thinking, I don't want to strike out, or is he thinking, I'm going to hit a single? And when he starts thinking, I'm going to hit a single, he always hits better than when he goes up there trying not to strike out. We have to be very proactive at this, and we have to expect success. Most of you service advisors, do you pick the phone up with a sale that you're going to make and think you're not going to sell it? Well, if you do, you're not going to sell it. But if you pick that phone up and going, hey, I'm going to sell this, I'm going to sell everything on this list, they're going to say yes, they're going to love me, the chances of them saying yes are far greater, far, far greater than if you pick it up going, they're not going to buy this. And it's kind of the same thing when you pick up the repair order and it's a $200 car with a $2,000 worth of work on it. If you approach that with, this car's not worth fixing, it comes across in your attitude. My attitude is, it's not my car, and my job is to tell them what we found and let them make a decision on what to buy. And if I can do that, I probably will sell. If I can't do that, if I don't expect success, I will actually convince them not to buy from me. You must expect to make the sale. You must expect to get the hit. You must expect to make the basket. You have to expect success in everything you do. And don't give up. You know, as I said earlier, I love making a big sale first thing in the morning. The rest of the day goes smooth. But if you don't make that big sale first thing in the morning, or the first couple that you try to sell say no, don't give up. Keep asking. The difference between success and mediocrity is the successful people never stop trying. They're striving every day to be a little bit better. They work every single minute to be a little bit better than they were. And part of that is having the right attitude. Don't give up. If that customer doesn't buy, analyze what happened, fix it for the next sale, and do what you need to do. See opportunities. Don't see obstacles. You know, I have a couple of friends in the body shop business, and most of us, when it's raining, are all depressed. Those guys are happy. They're doing the money dance because they know when it rains, cars crash. They're going to get busy. So it's really about us having the right attitude about things and seeing the opportunities. I had a couple of people talk to me at Cars this year when we were there, and they were talking about how our industry is changing so greatly and how pretty soon we're going to be out of business. And I told them, I said, I disagree with that. I see nothing but opportunities. Just because the cars are going to be fueled differently, they're going to be fuel cells or hydrogen-powered or electrical-powered or hybrids, they're still going to require our help. They're still going to break. They still have transmissions or some kind of gear system. It might be a variable ratio. It might be a constant velocity. But they're going to have some kind of transmission. They're going to have, for the time being, some kind of wheels, which have bearings. They're going to have electronics. And every time that you have a customer driving anything, they're going to break it, modify it, or crash it. I see nothing but opportunity. But to seize that opportunity, you have to get out there and learn this new technology. And I have to say this right now. If you're not already into hybrids, if you're not already taking training on hybrids, you're behind the curve. So you need to get out there and get excited about this and see the opportunities, not the negativity, but see the opportunities. You have to believe. You have to believe not only yourself, you have to believe in the business, you have to believe in your employees, and you have to believe with all your might you're doing the right things for the right reason. This is a mindset, an attitude. If you believe, you're going to do a much better job. If you truly believe in the product you sell, it's very easy to be the champion of that product. It's very easy to get up and say, this is what I'm excited about. It shows up in your customers. When you're excited about something, your customers know it. So when you are 100% behind the company you work for or own, and you truly believe in the methods and the product and the mission statement, it's going to come across to the employees, it's going to come across to the customers, and it's going to instill confidence in them. So you must believe. Choose happiness. There's a whole bunch of negativity in the world. In fact, for the last 2 years, I've been telling my clients to stop watching the news and stop reading the newspaper, because all there is negative stuff in there. People come to work in a bad mood because the stock market's down or this happened or that happened. Most of that stuff doesn't affect you. Most of that stuff you have no control over, but yet it frightens us that we develop a bad attitude, we become depressed. I've actually had service writers tell me, well, I'm not going to sell anything today because all the news is bad. Of course you won't, because you've already convinced yourself you're not going to. Choose happiness. Every job has negativity. Every job has things that you don't like to do, yet you have to do. Choose happiness. Don't worry about the negative stuff. Handle it, make it work, do it, whatever you need to do, and then move on. But choose happiness. I choose to be happy. When I'm sitting in an airport that's delayed for 3 or 4 hours because of the weather, I make a conscious choice to make the best of the situation. So I either get my computer out and I work, I make some phone calls, I listen to a book on my iPod, or my favorite thing to do is people watch. I love to watch people and the interactions and pass the time with a positive trait. You're going to learn a lot when you start taking these negative times and make them positive. Have optimism. Don't be pessimistic. Be optimist. Be an optimist. You're going to have good things happen if you believe in them. Most of us don't put enough conscious effort into optimism. You get up every day and be thankful, A, that you're able to get up and that you're breathing. And the second thing is that you have the opportunity. There's nowhere else in the world that we have the opportunities we do in the United States to get up and go to work in our own business with a lot of freedom to be able to do what we want to do. So be thankful for that. Be optimistic. Things are going to be okay. Have a passion for what you do. I can't stress this enough. got to get excited about what you do. And again, I'm kind of sick and twisted because my favorite thing to do is talk to people in front of a group of people. Whether it be 3 people or 300 people, I get excited about that. That's what makes everything else worthwhile. That's what makes being gone 4 or 5 days a week, 3 or 4 times a month, worth it, because it's something I really, really enjoy. You need to get the passion. I want you to think back, those of you that own the business, how excited you were when you opened that business. That first day, you were so passionate about it. You were excited. Nothing could bring you down. Fast forward 20 years, 25 years, 28 years, 30 years. Now it's just a place. It's something to do. You need to get the same passion you had the very first day you opened your business and bring that to the table today, whether it be 2 years or 20 years or 30 years. That passion is what's going to fuel your attitude. Do things for the right reason. One of the things that I'm a firm believer in is we need to take care of the customer before we worry about money. So rule number 1 at ESI is customer satisfaction before profit. So what I want you to do is I want you to do things for the right reason, which is servitude to the customer. Make the customer just so focused, or your focal point, that the customer sees how passionate you are about customer service, about taking care of them. The customer that feels that will spend more money with you easier than the one that you put money first. If you want to get paid and get paid well for what you do it for the right reason, which is take care of the customer. The other right reason is take care of your employees. We need them. They're an important asset to us. Doesn't mean they're not going to do something wrong, but do it for the right reasons. I want to educate and train and surround myself with better people. So I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure my employees are the best they can be. I'm going to make sure my customers get the very best of me, and I'm going to do it for the right reasons. I love helping people, and most people want to be a teacher of some kind to help people. Make sure you use that as part of your passion for what you do. What is your attitude worth? How many minutes a day do you work on your attitude? Now, working on your attitude starts first thing in the morning. You crawl out of bed, you go to the bathroom, you look in the mirror, you shave, you put your makeup on, you do your hair, whatever you're going to do. You should start working on your attitude at that moment. You should have some self-talk, some self-affirmations about how great the day is going to be, how you're going to go to work and slay the dragon. Are you going to make this really, really be the best day humanly possible? It all boils down to you sometimes talking yourself into having a great day. I was in an airport, trudging through the airport. It was one of those long days, and one of the gate agents said, how are you doing? And I said, you know, I'm spectacular. And he looked at me and said, boy, I wish I was spectacular. And I said, I'm not yet either, but I keep talking myself into it. Sometimes you have to talk yourself into having a great day. We're not all going to have spectacular days, but you need to get up in the morning and work on that attitude and start talking yourself into it, because if you don't, no one else will. Do you let others choose your attitude? Do you let somebody cut you off and they choose your attitude? You get excited, you get mad, you yell and scream, you might tell them they're number one. It affects your whole day. You let them choose your attitude. Eleanor Roosevelt said at one time, she said something that goes like this: no one can make you feel inferior except yourself. And I truly believe that's the same thing with attitude. I'm not going to let anybody give me an attitude. In fact, I find that when somebody's nasty to me, the better my attitude is, the madder they get. It's more fun for me. So don't let anybody else choose your attitude. How many times a week do you complain about something? If we complain a lot, our attitude isn't good. Let go of the bad stuff. You know, I was in a shop, service writer got yelled at by the customer. He had to go tell everybody in the shop what the customer said and what happened. So he repeated this negative situation 6 times, which just made it a bigger problem. My idea is this: got something to complain about? Let it go. Write it down. Worry about it later when you can think about it and you're not upset or angry or your blood pressure's up. Don't complain to anybody. You're just bringing everybody down. Don't give them more negativity. Give them positive. How many times a week do you laugh? I think this is important. Now, I told you don't read the newspaper. However, I will tell you, read the comics. Nothing I like better than having my coffee in the morning and going through the comics with my son and laughing together at it and pointing out, well, that's you, Chase, or, you know, Dad, that's you. laugh as often as you can. One of the keys that I learned a long time ago when I first started speaking is if I get an audience to laugh, they're going to be more motivated to pay attention than if I don't get them to laugh. If you get a customer to chuckle or laugh, they will be easier to sell to because that laughter induces chemicals into your bloodstream that makes your attitude improve. So we want to get in the point of trying to laugh as often as possible. How many times a week do you blame others? Now, hey, I'm the first one that loves blame. You know, it's always nice to blame somebody else. However, when you blame somebody else, you got to remember you're 50% of the problem, always, because you allowed it to happen, you didn't do anything about it, or you condoned it. So let's not blame others. Here's what I want you to do. Employees and owners alike, accept responsibility, and if you made a mistake, own up to it, admit it, and move on. Blame doesn't help us. How much time do you spend reading or listening to positive material each week? If you have more than a 10-minute drive to work, you should be listening to something positive. On iTunes and Audible.com and all kinds of places, there's all kinds of audio books. Load them on your iPod, get the CD, spend 10 minutes. In a week, you can listen to a book, and there's some very good books out there. You need to become a student of our industry. So if you're in sales, you need to practice and learn and study sales, psychology, communication, anything you can do to make your job better. Technicians, you need to be reading and writing about the technical articles, reading all the magazines, plus some of the good self-help books that are out there. I want you to spend your car time learning. Zig Ziglar calls this the automobile university. In a very short period of time, 10 or 20 minutes a day, you can get through a couple dozen books in a year. And the audio books are pretty well done nowadays, and they're not expensive. So I highly recommend that you work on reading or listening to positive material each and every day. Need it for a good attitude. Again, a passion for your job. We talked about that. I want you to get up in the morning and go, yes, I get to go to do my job. I get to go do a job I love to do. If you can't do that, you're not going to have a good attitude. Do the job you love. Here's a problem we have. Some of us are in jobs that we don't like. Sometimes we have an owner who's writing service that hates it. It comes across. Costs us money in sales. Sometimes we have an owner that's in sales that really wants to be a technician. Then we need to do what's necessary to get that person into the technical part of it and hire somebody to be a service advisor. If you're doing a job that you don't like, you will never, ever be successful at it as if you had a job you love. Surround yourself with the right people. I can't stress this enough. This is the key to success. Don't hire people that are not as good as you are. Hire people better than you are. Hire people that do a better job, because that'll make you look like a genius and your job becomes easier. Most of us settle when we hire employees, and it affects our attitude. I can tell you over the years how many times that we've identified that this is the wrong employee in the wrong position. The owners agreed to fire them, and it's taken 6 or 8 months to get rid of them. And then when we do fire them, they want to know how come we didn't do it sooner. The other employees are going, wow, I wish you would have done that 6 months ago. Sometimes we settle. What we know is better than what we don't know as far as an unknown employee. Find the right people. And I am a firm believer, and I am always looking for the next better person. It's a cold and callous business mindset, but I want to surround myself with the right people. If you do that, your life will be much easier and your attitude will be much better. Always give yourself positive self-talk. We all talk to each other. But what I want you to do is I want it to be positive. Don't dwell on anything negative. Don't dwell on anything that is not going to make your attitude better. Stop worrying about things. Fix them if you can. If not, put them aside. But I want you to talk to yourself in a positive manner. Now, there's a whole bunch of self-help books out there that talk about positive affirmations and give you 2 or 3 paragraphs to say. You don't need to do that. You just need to have a positive dialogue going on in your head. There's actually a book out that's called What to Say to Yourself When You Talk to Yourself. And it talks about positive influence through self-talk. If you get up in the morning and you go, man, today's Monday and I don't want to go to work, that's negative. You need to talk to yourself. Say, hey, it's Monday. It's a new day. It's a new game. I got 5 days now. I'm starting over here. It'll make a difference in the way you go to work. It'll make a difference in the way you approach things. So always have that positive self-talk. Positive self-talk is the one thing that costs you nothing to do. Most people don't do it. It's too easy to dwell on the negative stuff. I want you finding the positive every time. Focus on the good things. There's not an employee in your business that doesn't know when they screw up, but yet we make it a point to make sure we tell them every time they screw up. Find them doing something right. Find them doing the good things. Find everybody doing the good things. Something simple as opening the door. Open the door for somebody. Let them go first. Back off the throttle. Let somebody move over in front of you. You don't have to be number one all the time. Focus on the good. Help people. You know, I was at a supermarket one time, and there was these two ladies walking out the door, and I held the door open for them. And the lady stopped, and she looked at me and says, you know, that's very kind of you. Not very many people do that anymore. And I looked at her and said, well, ma'am, if I didn't hold the door open for you, my mom would come down from heaven and kick my butt. And she laughed and said, good for her. But that's the mindset, is do something different. Do something good for people. They will stop and notice that. It's kind of the same thing. You have somebody come to you that's in need. Do the right thing for the right reasons. You don't have to fix their car for free, but work with them, help them. Or better yet, get a car, fix it up, and donate it to the battered women's shelter. Help somebody. You'll be surprised how focusing on the good things in life will get you more dollars and cents as opposed to less. I want you influencing other people positively, which means walk the walk, talk the talk. If you're a leader, and by the way, if you're the service advisor, you're a leader. If you're the shop foreman, you're a leader. If you're a technician, you're a leader. If you're the only business, you're a leader. Try to influence people positively, which means set the example. Do the right thing for the right reason. Set the example for the rest of your people. For example, a lot of my shops have employee handbooks, and it says certain things. No smoking and eating in a customer's car. The owner gets in it, smokes and eats. That's not influencing people positively. If you have a set of rules, you need to let them know that you follow the rules. The other thing that we do to influence them positively is have a good attitude. Don't come to work grumpy. Don't come to work in a bad mood. Come to work pumped up and set it by example. I've told people, you know what? I come to work today. I don't come to work to let this car kick my butt or this person be mean to me. I came to work to have a good time, and I'm going to do that. So the more you influence people positively, the better your life will be. Recharge your battery. That's what attitude is. It's your energy pack. And just like a cell phone, the battery runs down. I know shop owners that haven't taken vacations in 20 years, and I think that's wrong. One of the things that we did at our shop was we actually required all of our employees to take a 1-hour lunch. We scheduled for it. We did it that way. And most people say, you know, Malin, that's just not going to work because productivity suffers. Our productivity went up because after we got them to go take a break, sit down, relax a little bit, they came back energized. That's a small recharge of your battery. But you guys need to take the time to rest, straighten this little mind out a little bit, get things focused again, and come back to work. I need you to plug into the wall socket and get charged up because it's human nature to be depleted. It's kind of like a lot of you that have been to service rider school. You come back from service rider school, you are pumped up, and you guys slay the dragon for the next 5 to 10 days. Then you kind of get beat up a little bit, and you get back in the rut, and you lose some of that momentum. You lose some of that positive attitude and that energy. You got to make sure that you get that back. That's one of the reasons why I do these webinars about every 8 weeks, because I want you to get pumped up. Come in, you listen to this, watch the CD a couple times, you get excited about it again, oh man, I forgot I wasn't doing that anymore. Now you can go back and really make this function because you're pumped up again. One of the things that pumps me up is being in front of a group of people and seeing the energy in the room. That recharges my battery. And that's one of the things I love about what I do is the energy I feed off of you. Not quite so much here on the computer, staring at the computer and talking to you over the telephone. But let me tell you, I still get excited about doing these webinars because it's energizing to me. It makes it exciting. You have to have laughter. Find something to do that makes you laugh. I love Frank Caliente. He's an impersonist. who does a great John Madden and a Clinton, and he changes them so fast. I've listened to him hundreds of times, and he just cracks me up. I can drive for 3 or 4 hours and be sore from laughing so hard. So sometimes it's just nice to let it go. I was in Alabama last week, and we went to a restaurant, and this waitress had us in stitches. In stitches. My side hurt when I left. Had good food, but she was it. It was hilarious. So laughter is a very good thing, and it keeps you recharged. You have to dream. You know, my son, he's 14 now, but way back when even 6, 7 years old, and we look at the lottery and it says it's $300 million, we always play this game, what if we won that? And you sit there and you go, okay, what would you do with the money? What would you do? And that's what I'm talking about. You got to dream. You got to dream big. And one day he asked me, he goes, hey, Dad, if we win that lottery, would you give me some of the money? And I said, well, I don't know. How much money do you want? He goes, well, if we won like $150 million, would you give me $1,000? And I looked at him and said, well, that's a lot of money. But yeah, I probably would. He didn't understand the concept of 1,000 to 150 million. But the idea is he was dreaming. We're talking about the cars we'd buy or the house we'd buy. It's the same thing for you. Part of having a good attitude is having a dream, something out there. Sometimes it's a motorcycle or a boat or a street rod or a race car or a house. Without dreams, you lose the energy. Without the energy, you lose the attitude. I want you to dream big. You need to filter the information you're given. Much like our children have selective hearing, you need to have selective hearing. I want you to tune out the negativity in the world. Somebody comes over and wants to tell you how bad something was, tune them out. If you have a friend, whether it be family member or friend, in your life that is a negative force, you need to distance yourself from that negative force because will wear on you and it will affect your attitude. But filter the information given. So, for example, we talk about the hydrogen cars and the hybrid cars and stuff, and some people filter it to say we're going to be out of a job. I filter it to say here's an opportunity. And you have to understand that how you filter that information can determine how you look at your career. One of the examples I used at the Automotive Repair Coalition when I spoke to them about the history of auto repair was way back, I'm getting the Wayback Machine, we're going to go back, we're a blacksmith in a little town, and we're working on a wagon wheel, we're making some horseshoes and building a gate. And we hear this new-fangled contraption called a horseless carriage come down the street. We walk to the door of our building, we look out, here's this thing moving without horses. That blacksmith had one of two choices. He either said, oh my gosh, my career's over, no more horses, no more job. Or he said, that's my next job. I'm going to learn how to work on those. And we've had this throughout the years. Many, many times, technology has changed, and we've adapted. That's filtering the information. Remember when electronic ignition came out in 1973? People were taking the HEIs out and putting points and condenser distributors in it because they didn't understand them. People embraced those, learned how to fix them, made a lot of money. 80.5 GM computers, fuel injection, CVT transmissions, all the electronics in the transmissions. You've all adapted and changed already because you refuse to let the doomsayers that said, hey, you're not going to have a job. That's filtering the information. Filter that information and make it all positive for you. Don't worry about the things you cannot control. When I was in Memphis last week waiting for a plane, it was snowing and sleeting. Now, I have no control over the weather. I talked to the big guy. It continued to fall down. So I was looking at the possibility of being in the Memphis airport for a whole extra day. Can't control the weather. So if that was going to happen, I was going to have myself a good meal. I was going to find a place where I could plug my computer in, and I was going to make the best out of it. I don't worry about the weather. I don't worry about other people. I don't have a lot of control over other people. What I do worry about is myself, my attitude, the way I perceive things, the way I filter things, and that's where I make the difference at. Excuse me. So don't worry about the things you don't control. A lot of times we take responsibility for things that we have no need to take control of, and it ruins our attitude. Smile. Drives people crazy when you're happy, but smile, laugh, have a good time. You'd be surprised how much easier life is if you could just smile more. Excuse me. A study of 3,000 top achievers found that 85% of the subjects said their attitude was the major factor in their success. The other 15 said aptitude was the reason for their success. And here's something that I truly believe. You should hire for attitude and train for aptitude. If I can find somebody with the right attitude, the attitude of servitude to the customer, that is a likable people person, I can teach them to be a killer service advisor. I can't take a great service advisor that doesn't like to deal with people and make them a great people person. It just doesn't work. So you always be looking for attitude, how they approach things, the way they think about things. 85% of 3,000 people said their attitude was the major factor in their success. They didn't show up at work and said, I don't know if I can do this. They showed up and said, I can do this. Did they do it all the times? No. Did they have failures? Yes. But it's an attitude that makes the difference for them, not so much the aptitude. This is very important. I think a lot of times we settle for the wrong people, and I don't want us to settle anymore. I want us to hire the right person, have the right people. Attitude killers, anger. This is coming from somebody who was an angry person for many years. I learned how to deal with my anger, and 35 years ago I was a different person than the person I am now. But I was told by a friend, I didn't know it at the time he was a friend, but he turned out to be a very good friend, that the anger was keeping me from being successful. So get rid of the anger. Stop letting people push your buttons. Fear. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of everything. It's pretty amazing, actually. We fear the customers, we fear the employees, we fear the vendors, we fear the cars sometimes. And remember that fear is false expectations appearing real. Most of the things we fear are not true. One of the things that I learned pretty early on from one of my mentors was customers are going to be upset no matter what you do. If you smile, take care of them, gives them less of a reason to be angry. So don't fear the customer, fix the customer. Most of the time, you don't have to do a whole lot to make them happy. But if you're afraid of them, you probably won't do a good job. How many of you guys have a customer you fear? Somebody comes in a bad mood, never seems to be happy, those kind of things? Well, you know what? If that customer is that bad, you should fire them. Don't surround yourself with people that are going to kill your attitude. Actually, it feels pretty good when you fire a customer every once in a while. Be flexible. Nothing's etched in stone. Nothing is permanent in the grand scheme of things. Be flexible. Go with the flow. You want to be able to take the path of least resistance, but sometimes you're going to have to take the path with the most resistance because it's the right thing to do. But be flexible. Excuse me. Be flexible as you can because life is going to have to be flexible. Things are going to happen. Hatred, that's a very ugly word. And I can honestly say there's very few things in the world I hate. We might use that word quite often, but hatred's a pretty strong word. Don't hate anything. If you tell me you hate your job, I'm going to tell you to go do something else. If you work for me and tell me you hate your job, I might just give you the opportunity to go someplace else right away. Because if you come to work with that mindset, you are not going to take care of myself, the employees, and the customers like you should. So stop hating things. If you hate your job, go find another one. Don't be defensive. You know, it goes back to what we talked about earlier, is own up to it. I don't really care why the problem happened in most cases. We'll talk about it. But I'd rather you not be defensive. It's kind of an ugly thing when you have some problems in a shop that everybody talks about why it's not their fault, puts up the force field, as opposed to saying, hey, let's solve this problem. It doesn't matter what happened. It matters that we need to fix this problem. So get over your defensiveness. Laziness, and I don't mean this as I don't go to work. I mean this as you procrastinate. You don't do the important things first. You put things off. Never doubt yourself. Again, it's just like that basketball player or the baseball player. You never want to get up there and doubt whether you can hit the ball or make the basket. You have to believe that you can do that. Misplaced priorities. We spend too much time on the wrong priorities. Make sure your to-do list is prioritized, and it's the hardest to the easiest, the highest return to the lowest return. Don't misplace your priorities. Losing your fun factor. Have fun. Do things that make you laugh. Enjoy yourself. Most people have lost the fun factor. Stop judging others. It's not your job. In fact, when you judge others, it costs you money. They're their own person. Don't worry about it. If they're that bad, don't associate with them. But stop judging others. Attitudes that cost us money. Prejudging the client. How many times have we said that car's not worth fixing? But that customer doesn't have any money, and we've talked ourselves out of the sale, and somebody else fixed the car. Never prejudge a customer by what they wear or how they look, because you just don't know. I tell the story about the guy who went in the Ford dealer in town in 1967 when the first Rancheros came out. And he was in dusty overalls and dirty shoes, and he didn't look like he had two nickels to rub together. So none of the salesmen went out and talked to him. So he sat in several different Rancheros, and he finally picked the one out he liked. He laid down in the front seat and kicked the roof up so he could wear his hat inside the Ranchero. Well, when he started kicking the roof with his boots to raise the roof a little bit, he certainly got their attention, and they came screaming out of the office and wanted to know what he was doing. He says, I'm buying this. He goes, well, how are you going to pay for it? I'm going to write you a check. He goes, well, we're going to have the bank verify the funds. And the farmer says, you do whatever you need to do. Wrote him a check. They went in. He called the bank. The sales manager called the bank. The bank manager said, yes, this check is good. In fact, if he writes you a note on a paper sack, I'll honor it. And said, just so you know, that guy could buy all the cars on your lot. This farmer, who looked like he didn't have two nickels to rub together, was the guy who owned all the property in the little town we lived in. He was probably the richest guy in Ventura County, but most people would never know it by the way he looked. And by the way, he drove that Ranchero with the roof kicked up and boot marks in it for 20 years. Never had it fixed. So never prejudge the client. Stop believing the news. It's all ugly. It's all doomsday. Stop believing the news. Start believing yourself. Make your own news. Make things happen for yourself. Stop believing the customer or the client. They're going to tell you things, how poor it is, how poor they are, how much money they don't have. They're going on a trip to Tahiti, but they don't want to spend $5 to fix their car. If you believe the clients, it's all doomsday also, because they don't want to spend money with you. You have to stop letting them get under your skin. Same thing with the employees. Employees out there, I want you positive. Most employees will tell you how bad it is, how terrible it is. I interviewed a person a couple weeks ago. He spent the first 15 minutes of a phone interview telling me how screwed up the shop he worked at was and how stupid the boss was and how they were idiots. I'm not interested in hiring a guy who talks that way. He couldn't give me anything positive to say, and he couldn't tell me what he was going to bring to our business other than his negativity. So you need to stop letting these people affect you and cost you money. Excuse me. The only people without problems are those in the cemetery. That was Norman Vincent Peale. And that's about the truth, isn't it? One of the things that I always have a conversation with is shop owners is they always tell me, well, I want to be just like so-and-so. I want to have a shop just like so-and-so. And I have to tell them, he's got his problems. We all have a facade. We all have problems. You know, the guy that needs to do $10,000 a week has problems. The guy who needs to do $50,000 a week has problems. They're just different degrees and maybe a little different problems. Every repair shop that I know of is always looking for cars, sales, people, employees, and such. So we're all fighting the same battles. The idea is the guys that are successful. Last year and the year before, I asked people to give me 20% growth. 20% growth. And they either did it or they didn't do it, and it was all dictated by the attitude on the day I asked them. There were three groups of people. One said, we're never going to be able to do 20% growth. The economy stinks. Some said, well, I'll try. And a group said, we're going to do that. Which group do you think was successful? The group that said we're going to do that. So I want you to have that positive attitude about it. If we all did things we're capable of doing, we'd literally astound ourselves. Let me tell you something. We only use about 11% of our brain power. 11%. So imagine what it would be like if we actually used just 22%. if we actually took it to the next level. You guys are intelligent people. You're doing something not very many people can do. You're fixing mechanical devices that are changing almost daily with thousands of parts and thousands of feet of wire. You guys are smart people. Our attitude holds us back, not our technical ability, not our business sense sometimes, and most times it is because of our attitude towards these things. And we need to fix that. I love being around positive people. I love being around people who know how to laugh. The groups that we're associated with, the Automatic Transmission Rebuilders, the Automotive Service Council, Automotive Service Association, ASA, you're surrounding yourself with the cream, cream, top of the heap. These people are going to give you a better attitude. You need to go to their meetings. You need to go to their shows. You need to participate in the events because you will come out of there with a much better attitude about this. And you're going to do a better job. The difference between success and failure right now, in most cases, is how we think about our business and how we think about ourselves. The attitude is going to take you to the next level or it's going to bring you down. So I really want you to think about how can I improve my attitude and how can I get things moving forward. 2011, probably not going to be any easier than 2010 was. But the folks out there that have the positive attitude, the ones that actually are approaching this year with, I'm going to have the best year ever, I'm going to have my 20% growth, I'm going to do these things, at the end of this year, they will probably achieve that. Those of you that go, man, it's going to be a bad year, I'm positive this year is going to suck because I have a good attitude about it, you're probably going to have a bad year. So it's really up to you guys to take the time to make the best of what you have. And again, everybody's got their problems, everybody has their issues. You're going to have to do what you can to change your attitude, to make your life better. Don't let other people tell you. When you talk to another shop owner and he says, man, this year's going to stink, stop listening to him right away. When you listen to one of these talking heads on the news that says today stinks, stop listening to him. Develop your own attitude, develop your own optimism, and give it your best opportunity. So, whoops, let me get to the next slide. Garbage in, garbage out, my favorite saying. Usually used with the computers, but it's the same thing. What you inject into your brain comes out of your mouth and your thought process. So stop letting the garbage come into your head and stop putting the garbage out. Be positive, have a good attitude, pump people up, do things for the right reason. All right, that's it for today. If anybody has any questions, there is a spot for you in your little applet to ask questions. We've got just a couple minutes. We do have another webinar starting right at 11 o'clock, so we need to break off a little bit before 11. So if you have any questions, feel free to write send me the question in. The other thing is we do have Service Writer School in February and in April, one in Oceanside and one in Dublin. And our next webinar will be Business Analysis, Your Path to Success, February 24th next month. So you'll be getting an email about that. And like I said, this has been recorded, so I will send you all, everybody that registered, a copy of this for you to use again. It'll go out next week. If you have questions and you don't get a chance to ask them now, you can always give me a call. My phone number is 866-526-3254, 866-526-3039. I don't remember what I said the first time, but that's it, 3039. Or email me at Maylan, M-A-Y-L-A-N, at esiseminars.com. And also remember that we have 14 of these webinars available for purchase on our website, which is www.esiseminars.com. So I appreciate your time today. I don't see any questions here. So go out. Let's have a good attitude. Let's go slay the dragon. Let's have a great 2011. If there's anything I can do to help you, anything that ESI can do to help you, pick up the phone and give us a call. Again, my number is 866-526-3039. Go out. Have a great afternoon. Make some money. We'll talk to you next month. Bye-bye.